everything was gonna be all butterflies and glitter, but did that happen? Nope, nope, nope. No. All right, it's story time.
Hello everyone, my name is Faith Martini and I'm so happy to be doing this collab with Abby. I have been able to know her within the last few months and I just absolutely love her. Just like her, I am a single mom and I have twin boys. On my channel, I post videos on motherhood, lots of cleaning and lifestyle, and also baby videos. So if you enjoy that kind of content, definitely stop by and say hi. So I also just posted my video on my labor and delivery story, and I'm sure you're gonna love hearing that story, guys. So once you're done listening to Abby's story, definitely check me out. I would love to have you on my channel. So yeah, I'm here just waiting for you. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on my channel.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Abby Kamara, and if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a story that I have not talked about really for a year now, almost a year. It is my labor and delivery story. It's one that's very personal to me, but I do feel like now that I can actually laugh about it, I feel more comfortable to share it. But let me tell you, a year ago I was not laughing about it. I was most definitely crying. So now I can laugh about it. I can laugh about it with my mom. Only really a couple of people know this story because I really did not want to talk about it after it happened. But now that Kai is almost 1, it's been almost a year. Kai is my 10-month-old baby boy. It's been almost a year since his birth. I'm feeling like maybe now is a good time to share this story, and maybe other people have gone through things like this as well. So while I tell the story, I'm just going to be getting ready for a wedding I'm going to. So where do I start? So when I found out I was pregnant, this was, my first child, so I'm like, okay, I want to do it right. I'm a person that likes to research, I like to plan, I like to prepare. So I started researching, which is what I do. So I did all the research, first baby, and let me tell you, I had a whole plan of what I wanted to do. I wanted to have this baby natural birth, no epidural. I had been practicing hypnobirthing. There was at one point I even wanted to do it in have like a water birth. So I had everything planned and prepared. I even had packed my hospital bag, and I actually recorded a video back then of what's in my hospital bag. I was planning on hiring a doula, but I ended up not doing that, and thank goodness that I didn't, because they're quite expensive, and once you pay them, you pay them. So another thing, so what I decided to do instead was to actually make my own doula bag, things that were going to be that a doula would use during birth. So I had my doula bag packed, I had all my snacks, all my energy stuff. Let me tell you how extra I was with all the things that I was taking to the hospital. I had like LED candles, I had like a music speaker, I had wireless headphones, I had essential oils packed. I was just gonna like decorate the room. I had my affirmations that I was gonna put up. I had everything. There was a whole list of stuff. Maybe I'll redo that, what's in my hospital bag. And I just had this whole idea of my birth, even though I was trying to do it natural, but I had this whole idea of it going to be just so beautiful, so special, which it was. It was. I'm not saying that it wasn't. Everything was going to be all butterflies and, glitter and just happy and everything just going perfect. But did that happen? Nope. 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 No. There was another plan. That was not God's plan. So what happened is, after I'd already done all of that, packed my hospital bag, recorded the videos, had my doula bag, bought all this extra stuff, I went to my 36-week appointment. And before my 36-week appointment, everything had been just fine. My pregnancy was pretty like an easy pregnancy, I would say. No pregnancy is easy, but it was not difficult. I didn't have any morning sickness. I had some pain here and there, and at that point the most pain I had was in my feet and in my pelvis area, which my doctor was just telling me, hey, it's all fine, because that means the baby is getting situated lower and just getting ready for to, you know, make it out to the world. So I was feeling good. But then at one point, right before, like maybe days before my 36-week appointment, the pain that I had in my pelvis that was like very uncomfortable, like so hard to even sit, just miraculously went away. And I'm like, this is kind of strange, because why would this just go away? So the pain went away, and then another thing that I noticed was now I had this like bump like under my rib, and it was so painful. I mean, not painful, but it was very uncomfortable, and it was even harder to sit down. Instead, the pain was not in my pelvis now, it was like up under my rib. So that was like the first thing I was going to ask at my 36-week appointment. What is that bump and what's going on? When you're pregnant, every little thing that happens, you're wondering like, what is this? So I go to my 36-week appointment, and my doctor actually wasn't available. She was on vacation that day, that week or two. While I'm there, and luckily at this appointment, I had my mom, because this was going to be the appointment where I had my last ultrasound, just to make sure everything was good, because I was almost going to be full term. So my mom and both of the grandmas were there. My mom and Kai's dad's mom was there. So that was great, because I needed their support. Now, once we're at the hospital and we're having the appointment, one of the first things I mentioned to the doctor is, hey, I have this bump right here under my rib on the right side. What is it? And she's like, oh, maybe it's the baby's butt, you know, or maybe it's a foot or something. So we need to check that out and see what it is. So she checks it out, and immediately she was able to tell it was not the baby's butt, it was not the foot, it was the baby's head. And she's like, uh-oh, the baby's breached. And she immediately, you know, she checked everything else. She said everything else is good. She could see that he had hair. She showed me his legs and arms, and everything was good. But she said the fact that he's breached is, you know, she went over some things with me, and she said, I'm not going to be able to give birth that way. We need to have him turn. She started talking to me about an ECV, which is, I believe it's an external cephalic version, and the short term for it is a version. So she's talking to me about this, and she gives me this paper, and she's like, I'm just going to schedule you for it, you know, for next week, because you're already at 36 weeks and we need to get it done. Actually, she scheduled me for it that week, like that Friday or something. And she said we need to get it done as soon as possible, because usually they do it before 37 weeks, before your full term. So anyway, now I'm looking at my mirror, so while I do my makeup, I'm definitely running late for this wedding. I'll probably miss the church, but that's okay. I'll make it there when I make it there. So she schedules me for the ECV, and she gives me this paper, and she's like, oh, read this when you get a chance. Read it when you get home. Well, I read this paper, and it had so many like warnings, like, oh, I had to come, if I was going to do it, the day that they scheduled me for it, which was that Friday, days later, I was going to have to come prepared for an emergency C-section, because oftentimes it can lead to that. If this happens, if the placenta ruptures, if this and that, there are like so many things that could go wrong, and the success rate was like 50% or something, or less than 50%. And I'm like, oh no, that's failing. That is not a good success rate. And so I just was not gonna do it. So I called and I canceled the ECV. I just said there's no way I could do it. Like, I've already done everything. I want to have a natural birth. They were gonna have to have me on IV, just in case if something goes wrong, they could just rush me over to do an emergency C-section. So I said, cancel, cancel, cancel. So I canceled the appointment. And then I had my next appointment now, which the hospital I was going to, that I was having all my doctor's appointment, was like a couple hours away drive. And at the time I was, when I started going to that hospital, I was living in the area, but then I moved to my parents' house in the midst of all that, but I wanted to keep the same doctor. So now I was far away, and everybody's like, you do not want to drive 2 hours or more with traffic when you're in labor. You need to talk to the hospital that's closer to you, and it's a chain of hospitals. So they said I could definitely give birth there. So I have another appointment scheduled to go meet with a different doctor so I can see and have a tour of that hospital to see if that hospital will work fine for me. So I go to this next appointment with this new doctor, and the doctor is like, she checked and the baby was still breached, and she's like, no, we're gonna have to schedule you for a C-section. So she immediately was like trying to schedule me for a C-section. I'm like, hey, now this is my first time dealing with this, so I had no idea what this all meant. I'm like, can't I just go through natural birth? Like, I can't wait till my water breaks. Why can't I do it a natural way? Why do we have to do it this way? I don't want to schedule the birth. And she's like, this is the way it has to be done. And I didn't really like that doctor too much because she didn't, I understand it's like a stressful job that she has, and she just wasn't really trying to listen to me. You know, I told her this is my first baby, like I didn't know, and she already knew the process. I had no idea. She didn't want to take the time to explain it to me. So I decided I'm not going to give birth at that hospital because that would have been the doctor that would have done the C-section for me if I went through with it. So I went back to my doctor that I'd been seeing all along, and when I went back to this doctor, and mind you, in the meantime, before I even went to this new doctor, just pretty much as soon as I found out about what the ECV was, I started researching, because that's what I do. I'm a person that likes to research. Googling, YouTube, I became like obsessed with finding ways of how I can get this baby to turn naturally so I don't have to do a C-section, because I was like scared. I've never had any kind of surgery in my life, and I was just freaked out. I was scared. There were a lot of tears, and thank you to my mom for, you know, helping wipe my tears during this time, because this was just all unexpected and just scary for me. So I did my research, and I found all these different ways of how you can get your baby to turn naturally, and I'm like, one of these ways is going to work. One of the first things I saw was seeing a chiropractor, and that the Webster technique is actually more successful than an ECV. So I'd already been going to a chiropractor during my pregnancy, and so I was like, oh great. I checked with them, and they had a doctor that used to be like a pediatrician, and he was familiar with the Webster technique, and he did it. So I started seeing him, and we tried, but at that point I was like already like 37 weeks, or almost close to 37 weeks, and it's best done throughout your pregnancy or like before your full term, because 37 weeks is full term. So anywho, he tried, and he was very positive, and he was like, he didn't want me to do the ECV because he said it was like stressful on the baby and it'll be stressful on me. So that just even freaked me out more. So yeah, so I was seeing my chiropractor, going to him often. Then also I started seeing an acupuncturist, because that was another way to turn the baby. And they do, shoot, I can't even remember what it's called, but it starts with an M. And what they do is they, strangely, but they take like 2 pins, and they put the pins, or the needles, 2 needles, they take 2 needles, and they put the needles at your pinky toe, like right at the corner of like right after the nail. Hard to explain, but they put the 2 needles there, and then they take this like mugwort stick, which is like a herbal stick, and it makes like smoke, and then you use it, you put it near where when she did it, she put it where the needles are, and she gave me some to take home and to use at home. If someone could help me, I had to go, oh gosh, I had to be like inverted, so with like my butt up in the air, my feet over. I had to be laying in like up on all fours, but then inverted with like a pillow. And my mom helped me with this, and she would just take the mugwort sticks, and we'll hold it by my where the needle pricks were, and just, you know, work on that. So then we did that. I used the bouncy ball. I used the forward leaning inversion, where you're like at the edge of your bed, and then you go forward and you hold it there, you come back up, you do that over and over again. I did the pelvic tilt, which is like you get on a ironing board that's like slanted just enough, and you lay upside down, like backwards, so the baby can get the idea of flipping. Oh my gosh, I did a lot of stuff. I don't even think that was it. Let's see what else I did. So yeah, so I did 4 leaning versions. I went to the chiropractor, I went to the acupuncture, I did the mugwort stick, I did the pelvic tilt with the ironing board. I did hypnobirthing. Yes, I did hypnobirthing. I did music and light at the bottom of the belly and at my crotch area, so hopefully he follows the music and can go down that and flip around and go that way. I did essential oils, like, oh my gosh, I tried everything. And so I tried to do all this before I went to my next doctor's appointment, which now I was like at 37 or 38 weeks or something. And my next doctor's, I think it might have been 38 weeks. So this time I see my actual doctor, and she just like sits me down, and she already knew. I'd already emailed her about what was going on, and she already knew what was happening. So at that doctor's appointment, I had my mom and also Kai's other grandma, Marcy, was there, and she straight up just sits down, and she looks at me and she's like, I know you don't want to do the version, but and you want to do natural spontaneous birth, but your baby could die. Like, she looked at me and said that with a straight face. I was like, oh shoot, like, okay. She said, while she did not, she understood that the version didn't have a good percentage of success, but she said it was worth a try, because she also did not want me to have a C-section, because she said C-sections were going to be, are usually, she said C-sections are usually just harder to recover from than natural birth, than actual, not natural birth, but C-sections were just a little bit harder to recover from. So she talked me into trying the version, and she said that she will do it herself, and I trusted her. So I decided I'm going to try the version. And so now when we set up the version, it was going to be that Friday, which was I think 2 days later. And she told me, you're full term, so if the baby has to come and the baby comes, it's actually fine, not to worry. So she said that the baby had to come through emergency C-section, that it was going to be okay because I was full term and he was at a healthy weight. And she said the version, we had a good chance of it working because he wasn't too big, and that it was worth a try. So I said, okay, I trust her. I was going to have both Marcy and my mom there to support me. So we set it up for that day. And also Kai's dad was going to be there too, just in case it was going to be an emergency C-section. So we got all ready. I had everything there, everything all set. And we did the version. And of course, like I said, I like to research. So before I went into the version, I got on the internet and got on YouTube and started just researching what this thing is like. And I'm telling you, most of the videos I saw, it just looked so light and gentle and easy, and that everything was good. So I'm like, what was my chiropractor talking about? This is simple. I can do this. So we go into the version, and I should have known it wasn't going to be that easy if there had to be 2 doctors there to do it. But so my doctor was there, and there was another doctor there, and they were all very kind. The nurses were so kind and helpful to me. So they get me all hooked up IV, and I had to do all this. I couldn't eat before because in case I had to do C-section, I had to just be ready. So yeah, so I was ready, and we do the version, and I'm not gonna say it wasn't okay. It wasn't painful. It wasn't anything that was painful. It was just very uncomfortable. So what they do is one doctor is on one side, the other doctor is on one side, and they try to guide your baby to the right way, and they'll try one way. If that way doesn't work, that direction doesn't work, they might try a different way. So they tried, but it was not a come on baby, go, go, go. It was not like that. It was they had to have a good grip, their feet on the ground, and they were turning. Like, it was, I had this little breathing mask thing where they give you like the gas or the air or whatever it is they give you, and that was what was helping me to not pay attention to it. But it was very uncomfortable, and I was like scared because I'm like, what if something happened to my baby? But they were monitoring him, and they were watching his heart rate, and nothing, like, his heart rate didn't change. He was all good. Everything was just fine. So my baby did not budge. He was not moving. He's like, no, this is where I'm staying. Nice try, mama. This isn't gonna happen. So anyway, so next thing was to schedule the C-section, and she's like, we cannot have you go through spontaneous birth because the way he's breached, it would be really bad if his cord came down first before he did, and the cord gets like stuck or clamped, and then now he won't have his way of life. That cord is his lifeline, so it could be worse. And she's like, with the scheduled C-section, look at the benefits of it and not look at the negatives. And the benefit is that it's not an emergency C-section, so it's going to be way smoother. You know, I already know when it's going to happen, and it's just less stressful. So I said, okay, we scheduled the C-section for the next week. And mind you, meanwhile, I was like more comfortable now with it, but this was a very stressful, like, sad time for me. I told this to like no one, like only the people that were there, and maybe one other friend knew, and that was just because she was also pregnant at the time, and she would call me. We were going through our struggles together, so it was nice to have someone to cry with, because she had her own things, I had my own things, and pregnancy is not easy. So I just was lucky that I had someone that I was close with that was going through it at the same time. And so she always was calling and checking on me, and I'm someone that I can't really, it's hard for me to keep things from people, so I definitely had to share it, and she helped me through that. But I told it to no one because I just did not want to talk about it. I just was so sad because all these plans that I had with the fairies and the magical bird, now it was like I'm having surgery. Like, I've never had surgery before. So this time I just prepared for the C-section. It was a good week because that weekend my pastor prayed with us, and I was just like, hey, like, there's modern medicine. We have to thank God for that, and that the main thing that's important is not that this baby flips, is that we get the baby here safely, so everything is going to be fine. So it did work out because everybody knew when the C-section was going to be, and that it was scheduled for a certain time, so it was going to be Friday at like 7 a.m. And that Friday I was sad because the friend that was pregnant, I was going to be missing her baby shower, which is another reason why I had to tell her baby shower is that weekend. I'm like, I can't be there because I'm going to be giving birth. So now the day comes that I'm going to be having the C-section, and it worked out that it was scheduled because I was able to book a hotel, be comfortable. My family was going to be able to be there. It wasn't like a rush situation. And mind you, I told you the hospital was like hours away. So I was able to be there the night before. So I did all the things that they want you to not eat. Like, I had to stop eating like at midnight or something. I can't have fluids. I had to do this whole bath, like wash. Like there's a lot of stuff, preparation. That's a whole nother, story there. But so I was all ready. I get there bright and early. I bring donuts for the hospital staff because they had been so kind to me before, and I just wanted to thank them also, and just also make sure that they were going to be nice to me during the hospital stay. And I get there, and unfortunately my C-section that was scheduled now was not going to happen when it was scheduled. In fact, they were booked. They just had a bunch of like people come in to give birth. They were just booked. Every room was actually taken. I had to stay in like a recovery room. People, for some reason, that night decided, or a lot of babies decided they were going to come that day or that night. So I was waiting, and every time while I'm in there waiting, they're like, okay, we're going to get you ready. You're going to be next. And then next thing you know, you hear this like sound on the like intercom, and it's like, oh, code, I forgot what the code was, but every time I heard this code something, it was like emergency C-section, so they had to take someone in. And that happened for the whole day. Like, it happened from like 7 a.m. from when I was there until like pretty much I was supposed to have him around 7 and I didn't have him till 5:30. So mind you, oh shoot, what am I doing? See, when you talk too much, all types of crazy stuff. So mind you, the night before they told me I had to stop eating. So I had dinner at like a decent hour. Like I had dinner like maybe like at 8:30 or something, so it was like late enough. But yeah, I was starving. Like I couldn't eat anything, and they're like, nope, you can't eat yet. And then at one point, like maybe around like 2 or something, they came and brought me apple juice. 2 apple juices. I was so thankful for that because that was like all the food that I'd had all day. So I had my apple juices and I'm sitting there waiting. Oh, and at this point they had moved me into a recovery room because they have the labor and delivery rooms and they have the recovery room that you go to after you give birth. And they're like, you know what, you've been waiting here all day and we want to get it done since you're already here, you're already prepped. You can stay in this room and this will be the room you come back to. So it was nice because I was able to leave all my stuff there. So finally we go to have the C-section. I was like scared out of my mind. You could have one person with you, and I had Kai's dad with me, and I was shaking. Like when they gave me the medicine, like my arms were like, but when they gave me the anesthetic or whatever it is that they give you, which is like, I guess it's like an epidural but just stronger, they had me on the bed, like, so I stopped feeling from like my chest down, and I'm like there with my arms out and I was like shaking, and I had to just like calm down. And the lady that was there was like, hey, you know, she was so good. The anesthesiologist, she kept me distracted and was just telling me jokes. We were laughing, and before you know it, she was just like, hey, hold on 1 second, you're about to have a baby in a few seconds, so let's, you know, you're about to have a baby. And all the things they said I was gonna feel, like the tugging and all that, I didn't really feel it. And it could be because they had to give it to me to the they had to inject the painkiller or whatever into me twice, because the first time I still was like feeling it, and I think it's because I was like shaking. That was actually the most painful part of the C-section, them giving me that shot, that epidural. So then after that I was good, the baby came, everything was fine. It was beautiful, and it wasn't as bad. The C-section wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. It was actually quite easy. I got to hold my baby, and his dad was there to, you know, go to with the pediatrician with him, and while I got taken to the recovery room. It was beautiful, and while it didn't go the way I planned it, it was beautiful, and I was happy that everything worked out. So now he's here. He made it, and it was around 5:27 p.m. or 5:26, something like that, 5:27 p.m. He was 6 pounds, 4 ounces. He was completely healthy. He was loud. I was able to hear him cry almost immediately, and he was beautiful. I was just so happy that all that was over with. So Kai is here. Everybody's happy. We're in recovery. I didn't use anything from that hospital bag that I'd packed. None of the doula bag stuff. Only thing I really used was my nightgown that I wanted to use instead of using the hospital gown. So I did use that. I don't think I used anything else there. And pretty much all those extra things that I bought, you don't really need. You have to check with your hospital because they provided everything. So I barely opened that bag. I mean, I used Kai's stuff. I made a hospital bag for him, so I did get to wear the clothes that he was gonna wear on him. But so I had packed matching outfits. I had packed my makeup. I was gonna just get glammed up. I had like, my hair was done in what was it? The faux locks. My hair was in faux locks, so I didn't have to pack a flat iron or anything like that. And I was just we were gonna have a photographer come take pictures. No. Because I just was not, like, when I see people that were able to get dressed and get ready and do all of that, I'm literally like, okay, I was looking for my eyelashes. But yeah, when I see people that were able to do that and be all glammed for after they give birth, oh my gosh, like I wish I was able to do that. I didn't open that makeup bag at all. I just was like, I look crazy, and maybe I'll share the pictures now, but I looked crazy. I was like, forget the pictures. We did take a few pictures, but probably nobody's seen it unless you were there. And yeah, I pretty much didn't use much in that hospital bag. But everything went well after that, and they're like, you know what, you're doing so well. I was able to like do everything they asked me to do. I had to be able to go pee within like 24 hours or something. I had to be able to get up from my bed and walk to the hospital, the room bathroom. Oh my gosh, and that was one of the hardest walks I've ever taken in my life. It was like this short. It wasn't a far walk at all, but it was so hard, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna make it there because I'm leaving this hospital. Like, I don't want to stay here much longer. So everything was good, and now we all get ready to leave, and we go. We were actually able to leave the hospital within 2 days. Like, I gave birth on Friday. By Sunday, like, I was like ready to go home, and they were releasing me. Everything was great. And I know what you're thinking. This is where the story ends, right? Baby's here, C-section went well, everybody's good, released by the hospital, story over. Nope, nope, no. This is where the story actually really begins. And this is another untold story. I might have to split this into two parts, part 1 and part 2, because obviously the first part is already long enough. So this is part 2. And this part right here involves police car, flat tires, tow truck, shady tow truck drivers, hotel rooms. Like, why was this happening? I don't know. Me don't know. I don't sabi.